Hey everybody, this is Bridget Danner with Women's Wellness Collaborative, and this is part one of a series I am calling My Moldy Journey. So this is my experience with toxic mold inside our home, and this is part one. So if you are curious if you have mold, or you're going through mold, or you're just wondering a little bit about the health effects of mold, you can tune into this series. So let me start with my story. So this fall, this November, I started getting like colds. I had a couple colds in early November, and then after Thanksgiving, I had a bad cold, and I was taking like every supplement, and I was really sick. So I went to the urgent care, and they said, oh, it's just a virus. And like 5 days later, I was still so sick. I just had to go back in, and I ended up on antibiotics. I had some infection in my throat that I wasn't clearing. It was the first time in 20 years on antibiotics. So the antibiotics did work, but my eyes started to get swollen and puffy around that time. And then when the antibiotics were over, I was still having sore throat. And I was getting more tired. I was getting more disoriented, brain fog, and I was really bummed out. I didn't know what was going on. I got some IV vitamin therapy at the naturopathic college, and wasn't really making that big of a difference. They suggested to me that it could have been the cat that we got in the fall. And they asked about mold in our house. So I was pretty suspicious it was the cat. But my husband was keen to get the mold tested because he was concerned about our house. So we did, and the test was $450, I think, for this guy to come out and check for mold visually and with like sensors and like detection. This is our mold testing report. So it came back that we did have mold in the house. We had some mold in the basement, and it's a good report. There's pictures and everything. So we had 3 types of mold: Penicillin, Aspergillus, and I don't know how to pronounce this, but Stachybotrys or something like that. So some of these can give off toxic byproducts as they're growing and feeding, and that can get in the air. Another thing I learned is that as mold is drying, it's actually sporing more. It's putting out more like airborne stuff. So we had this super heavy rain here in December in Oregon, and then, a drier January. So it may have been like that's why our symptoms were getting worse at that time. So I still have a lot to learn about mold, and I want to learn about mold. But this is just part one, so I'll tell you what I know so far. Let's see. So we're getting the mold removed. So we had some people come out and give bids for that. So you can't remove it yourself, or can really potentially spore all over the place. You have to have people professionally remove it. And they're going to take out drywall. They're going to take out a little bit of carpet. They're going to see what's behind the walls. Another thing that our analysis said was that we had moisture under our siding. So since then, we've had a couple people come out and give quotes about the siding. And it sounds like our windows were installed incorrectly, and that's probably how moisture got into the siding. And we won't know until they rip it all up if there's mold in there or not. So that will be, part 2, I guess. I'll let you know. So, some takeaways are to definitely with your home repairs, get it professionally done, get it done correctly to code, and really have an expert, because, now we potentially have been living with mold, and we have to spend all this money to redo our siding. So it's a bummer. Some other things I'm learning. Well, we got this big fancy air filter called a IQ brand, IQ Health Pro Plus. It's like over $900, but it cleans the air for VOC. It's got a HEPA filter and it's got like a carbon filter. And I would say since we got that, it's been helping. Some things I don't know are like how long it's going to take to kind of go get the mold out of my body. I also don't know, what it's doing exactly. I tested for a little bit of positive thyroid antibodies around November, and it could have been the mold like actually is activating my immune system and my body's attacking itself, or that could be a separate issue. So I am treating my thyroid right now as we try to figure out the mold. I feel like I have good days and bad days with the mold or with my health. Yesterday I had a headache like most of the day and I didn't know why. And then today was like a lot better. So I'm not sure if there's like a detox process. I'd be happy to hear people's comments if they've gone through some of this. Not really sure. Let's see. What else? There's a book coming out called Mold by a colleague of mine named Ann Shippy, and I'm looking forward to that coming out and reading it. I'd be happy to hear people's sources for mold information. I feel like, I haven't had tons of time, but there's just a lot of varied stuff on the internet. When the guys come by to look at our mold, it's not like a severe case from what they can see so far. But I don't know if that necessarily means like that it's any less severe for our health. It probably is less severe than if we had mold completely gone rampant. But we're just learning, and I will keep you updated as we remove mold and find out what's in there. One more thing I learned was that if drywall gets wet and it's not dry again within 3 days, it will have mold. Also that like if you have areas without good circulation, like a closet that's packed with stuff, that's a good place to get mold. Also learn that like if your gutters aren't working right, that can like let too much water come towards your foundation. That's another problem we had. So learning about home care, and it's good that I'm learning. It's good to know our environment is part of our health, and we can't just like ignore the place that we're living in as I'm learning. And I'm going to know a lot more about home construction and all that when this is all over. Another takeaway I would say is like if you feel like you're doing everything right and your health is still suffering, then keep looking. I try not to be too hard on myself about my health, but I was definitely bummed that I wasn't feeling well, and I think the mold was playing a part. So in a way, it was a relief to know, okay, well, I'm not just going crazy here. So I'm glad that I was able to find it, even though it would be very expensive to fix. So if you feel like things are going wrong with your health and you don't know why, keep looking for answers. Talk to experts. See a functional medicine practitioner, see a naturopath. Look for answers, because none of us deserve to be suffering with chronic illness, basically. So hope that helps, and I will see you for part 2 of my mold journey.